Chapter 60. Theodore had to attend the Smith Group's reorganization meeting on Saturday, so he couldn't attend the party. He especially apologized to Harrison, and even took the trouble to tell Serafina to put on a good show in front of the Lancaster grandfather. She also planned to wait until after the party to tell him about her relationship with Harrison. But today's work went very smoothly, and ended very early. When Theodore drove back, he thought that everyone was probably at the Lancaster family's party, so he drove over there. As soon as he got out of the car, he saw Harrison. He was standing under the flower trellis not far away, talking to a girl. At first glance, Theodore was dazzled. The always silent and cold Harrison was smiling? And smiling very gently, and radiantly, warmer than the sunlight. Moreover, he naturally hugged the girl's waist, occasionally lowering his head to touch her cheek. This intimate action was far different from the gesture of talking to ordinary people a few meters away, determined not to touch each other's skin. This was the power of love? Theodore suddenly felt a deep sense of pride. It was all his work. He continued to look at the other girl. Her hair was loose, her neck was white, her waist was slim, her white dress was cute, her long legs were slender. Just looking at her he knew she was a precious thing that was both sexy and pure. Only a girl like that could be worthy of his idol Harrison. Of course Theodore was even more curious. What kind of woman was she that could make the cold and dark man Harrison reveal such a naive student-like face when in love? So curious. He intended to go over there and pretend to accidentally bump into them, but before he could even get close, the two of them had already touched lips. He was a good boy, very calmly turning around. But it was too late. The girl had just leaned her head on Harrison's shoulder and let him see half of her face. If he still didn't recognize her, he wouldn't have the same last name as her anymore. The person hugging Harrison's neck, kissing him sweetly and passionately, was none other than his Serafina. He thought back, it seemed like he had just secretly imagined her as a precious thing. He suddenly remembered that he had taught Harrison 36 tricks to flirt with girls, 30 ways to confess, 18 tricks to approach. It turned out that he had applied all of them to Serafina. Theodore's soul flew away with the wind. If Harrison really used these tricks, would Serafina turn into a weak and naive white rabbit that was fooled into dreaming, waggling her tail and running straight into the wolf's den? Theodore was extremely regretful. He finally understood Alex's regret of not being able to kill him. The retribution for his philandering past had come. His Serafina had also been caught. He just wanted to kill that big-tailed wolf Harrison right away. Recalling the last time at the hospital, he asked Harrison how far he had gone, asked if that girl had taken the initiative to approach him. He regretted not being able to tear his tongue off and twist it into a donut. Damn it, Harrison. He dared to ask him for a handbook on how to pick up girls, then turned around and attacked his innocent white rabbit Serafina without anyone knowing. How could this be? He frowned, standing in the middle of the green grass, remaining silent, until Harrison had left. Serafina walked alone in this direction. The little rabbit was very happy, clearly stupid. Theodore just wanted to hit her to wake her up. Where were the words she taught him before? She was truly bewitched by beauty. The rabbit's cheeks were red, her lips were smiling, she was jumping around lively, not seeing him standing beside her. He got angry, took a quick step, grabbed her neck and pulled her back. She was scared out of her wits, turned around and only saw his annoyed expression, momentarily unable to react. Why are you here? He was a bit angry. Are you afraid that I'll come here and see you hugging and kissing Harrison? She was witnessed by her younger brother kissing someone else, honestly. I was planning to tell you when I get home. She didn't mind at all, and continued walking. Unexpectedly, he carried her back again. Don't be with Harrison. She was stunned, only to see him frowning very tightly, serious and sad. Serafina, don't be with Harrison. She felt a pang in her heart. Don't you think he's very good? I heard you talking to Grandma. Because of the Smith Group, you're planning to marry Harrison, right? No need for love, sacrificing your own happiness? Can you not do that? I don't need you to do this for me. He held her hand tightly, almost choking up, swearing. Don't you see that I'm very obedient, very hardworking, very ambitious now? I know I'm wrong, I'll fix it. I'm learning a lot of things. Grandma will definitely feel secure in handing the group over to me in the future. I'll definitely be able to manage it well. I really don't need you to do this. She was completely stunned. She didn't expect him to suddenly say such resentful words. Her heart softened. Just as she wanted to explain, she heard Harrison calling her from behind, "Serafina." Her heart tensed up. Theodore also looked at Harrison behind her. His eyes suddenly became gloomy. She had a bad feeling. Just as she was about to stop him, Theodore pulled her away, punched Harrison in the face. Damn it. Harrison didn't guard against him, and got punched. She was tongue-tied and stared, jumped up to cover Harrison's face, surprised. "Theodore, are you crazy?" She turned her head to look at Harrison. "He's too agitated, don't hit back." "I'm very sober." Theodore pulled her towards him. "Serafina, I told you, I will manage the Smith group well. There's no need to sacrifice you to do this kind of in-law connection thing." Finished speaking and dragged her along. Unexpectedly, Harrison took a step forward, grabbed her other hand with force, his expression unfathomable. "Where are you taking my girlfriend?" She was crazy. This was the first time in her life that a man had fought over her, and it was her younger brother and her boyfriend? She just wanted to faint, and shouted in a panic, "Theodore, you're wrong. You only heard half of my story with Grandma. I really like him." Theodore was stunned. Even Harrison was momentarily stunned. The surroundings were dead silent, only the sound of the wind blowing through the flower trellis and the rustling of leaves. Theodore looked at her serious expression, then looked at Harrison. His chin was slightly red but his expression was still calm. He couldn't help but secretly tremble in fear. It seemed that Harrison was still his idol, and he had just punched his idol. "But you two are wrong to hide it from me." Theodore found an excuse to sulk, ruffling his hair, not waiting any longer. "No matter what, congratulations, I'm going to visit Mr. Lancaster." With that, he ran away as fast as lightning. She breathed a sigh of relief, suddenly discovering that the atmosphere behind her was a bit strange. Her heart was shocked. She turned around and saw Harrison's cold eyes. His voice was cold. "In-laws?" She immediately felt pricked by thorns. She clenched her teeth, telling the truth. "At first, I thought I wouldn't fall in love, just need to be in-laws with a good family." She pouted and puffed her cheeks. After all, the truth was like that. If he noticed, there was no other way. He calmly looked at her, the corners of his lips slightly raised. He gently lifted her head, looking straight into her eyes. "So what now?" She was stunned, and finally muttered, "I just said it." He glanced down at her expression, which was not at all embarrassed and very reasonable, and helplessly laughed, reaching out to pull her into his embrace. Wedding? It wasn't that he didn't know her initial thoughts. He knew that she was like him, not putting too much emotion into it, but analyzing a lot with reason. If they synthesized all the factors and conditions, and felt that this person was the most suitable, then they would get together. Both sides were like that, very fair. He wasn't surprised, nor did he lose. On the contrary, he was quite happy that she was so impatient that she blurted out that sentence to Theodore. What did it matter how it started? Between him and her, he didn't know when feelings had taken the upper hand, much better than the initial desire to respect each other as guests. He remembered the main thing, no longer smiling. "Just now I happened to hear my grandfather talking to your grandmother. I feel like it's better to come and tell you first." She thought to herself, guessing 8 or 9 parts. Immediately her face became hot and she lowered her head. He touched his nose, awkwardly saying, "About the engagement." Seeing her face getting redder, not saying anything, he felt a little uneasy, immediately holding her hand tightly. "If you feel it's too soon, I'll go." "No need." She looked up, her eyes filled with shame. Let's do it like this." It was only an engagement, not a marriage, but as said before, both of them had considered all the conditions, and were getting along with each other with the intention of becoming in-laws. Now they were intertwined with feelings. Wouldn't that be fortunate? Moreover, if this news was revealed, the Beaumont family's stock price might skyrocket. She leaned against his chest, thinking peacefully and happily. After Theodore hit Harrison, she was extremely sad. Normally, only men would worry about how their wives would live with their mothers and younger sisters, but now she was sad because of her fiancé and younger brother. What a strange thing in the world. Her little brother always made her feel suffocated. When she and Harrison had nothing, he was Harrison's fan, but now that they had something, he turned into an anti-fan. But on the weekend, she was in her room writing a script. Halfway through going out for a drink, she glanced into Theodore's study and unexpectedly saw Harrison. The two of them were sitting next to the desk, writing and drawing, discussing something. She picked up a cup of water, tiptoed over, and after listening for a while, she discovered that the two were studying the annual financial reports of the Ashford Family Healthcare and the Kensington Family Coroner. The Kensington Family Coroner is currently developing a green car model to protect the environment, and it just so happens that the government is tightening its lending policies, making cash flow quite difficult. The Ashford family is the same. Their newly researched drug has encountered many safety issues, and has been delayed for a long time and cannot be released to the market, and its stock price has dropped a few points. This was Theodore's sincere and decisive tone, making Serafina feel that her younger brother had completely changed, since when could he analyze problems in such an orderly and focused manner? The two families chose this time to cooperate to open a new company, most likely to take over the Martin family's medical equipment factory. One is to shift the focus, because the Kensington family also plans to shift to the equipment industry, and the other is to launch new stocks to the market to pool more capital for business. Perhaps it can also pull the other two stocks up. This was Harrison's tone, calm and vaguely comfortable, casual but unusually authoritative. Theodore calmly analyzed, according to the current direction, the resources of the Ashford and Martin families will eventually be concentrated in the hands of the Kensington family. This company is actually the key step for the Kensington family to conveniently take over the Martin and Ashford families. If successful, it will not only greatly help the Kensington family's core energy equipment sector, but also make the Kensington family's overall strength jump a few notches. Harrison tapped his fingers on the table for a while, and leisurely said, "So if we want to confront the Ashford and Kensington families, we have to start now. Because the time when the Ashton Company was founded was when they were most unstable, and it was also our best opportunity." After speaking, he suddenly turned his head, and just happened to see Serafina standing at the door, her serious face immediately showing a hint of a smile. Halftime break? She knew that when she was writing the script, he had come to watch but did not disturb her. Yes. She walked over with a smile. The scene she had just seen at the door was the happiest moment of her life. She couldn't help but pinch Theodore's cheek. Was this really her younger brother? Theodore glared at her in dissatisfaction. "What are you doing?" She chuckled. "I'm sure we'll confront the Ashfords and the Kensingtons?" Of course, Theodore looked at her with a "why don't you understand anything" expression. Everything from the Ashfords originally belonged to our family. They harmed Auntie, chased Vivian away, and even harbored Megan and Lily. Of course we have to take it back. As for the Kensingtons, they've harmed you over and over again, they're enemies anyway. So it's better to seize the opportunity to strike, otherwise when they grow up, it will be difficult to eradicate them. She looked at his determined and calm expression, her heart filled with unspeakable turmoil. Ah, has her little brother really grown up? After he finished speaking, seeing her excited expression of "my family has a younger brother who just grew up," he couldn't help but frown, flick her forehead, and shout, "Serafina, who are you making this devilish face for?" She covered her painful forehead. "What kind of grown-up?" He saw her gritting her teeth in anger, and couldn't help but laugh. "Do you want to know how Harrison and I plan to deal with them?" She cooperated very well, immediately blinking her eyes, nodding like a chicken pecking rice. "Yes." Theodore looked at her adoring expression, proudly beckoning his finger. "Come here." She immediately obediently moved closer. He said, "Call me Big Brother." Half a second later, a miserable scream came from Theodore's room. Olivia went upstairs, saw Serafina twisting her ankle, and calmly walked out. "Mom, I was just playing with Theodore, he's fine." Serafina smiled shyly. "Leave him alone." Olivia waved her hand without paying any attention, leaving her son alone, pulling Serafina out of the room, and said seriously, "Look at your brother and Harrison, who are busy preparing a plan to deal with the Ashford family. Shouldn't we fall behind? Lagging behind?" Serafina rarely saw her mother so full of fighting spirit and seriously giving advice, and felt unfamiliar. Her mother solemnly said, "The two of us are part of the women's squad, we must also contribute." She couldn't help but have a black mark all over her head. She had already graduated from kindergarten, and now she was following this path of mother-daughter intimacy, which was really strange. She didn't know what to say. Tell me. Her mother was very serious, taking out a notebook. "I'd been recalling Megan's past few years and found a few suspicious points." She grimaced. "What was the atmosphere in the house like today?" "The atmosphere of the whole nation campaigning to persecute this opponent is really strange." Her mother continued, "When she was in Beijing, Megan was very poor. But I remember that she once wore a very precious jade bracelet. She said it was fake, but I knew it was real jade. Moreover, she was a braggart, and she also said that fake things were real. So at that time I suspected that she had someone to support her, but then I completely forgot about it. Now that I think about it, at that time, to be able to give her such a gift, the giver not only had money but also had power. Now I wonder if she is still in contact with that person." She really didn't want to disappoint her mother, but she thought that this matter had not been confirmed, and there was no evidence. And if that person and Megan were still in contact now, then both sides were people of prestige and honor. Even if they met, they would pretend not to know each other, and would not reveal the secret. After hearing this, her mother was not at all hurt, but rather became even more courageous. "That's why we have to work hard to find a way to deal with it." She didn't know what to say. Her younger brother was enthusiastic, but why was her mother? "Then let's do it together." She thought for a moment, rolled her eyes, and said, "Mom, there must be some photos of everyone in the family when they went out on vacation, right?" Her mother searched for her, and as expected, there were indeed a few familiar faces. She asked each person one by one, and the biggest surprise was Felix Kensington, William's father. But now it was quite difficult to go back to the things that happened many years ago. She thought for a while, and finally came up with a way. The Clover Medical Equipment Company, which was jointly invested by the Ashford, Kensington, and Martin families, held a ribbon-cutting ceremony. Olivia was a small shareholder of Ashford Medical, so of course she would attend, and she even brought Serafina along. Before entering, Olivia had exaggeratedly encouraged success. Serafina was really at a loss for words at how friendly she was, and awkwardly gave her a handshake. As a result, her mother held her hand tightly, solemnly swearing before setting out, "Mother and daughter are of one mind, cutting gold and iron." Although she was speechless because of her strange manner, she felt very happy inside. She was stubborn for a while, then linked arms with her mother, so childish. Yes, mother and daughter are of one mind, cutting gold and iron. As soon as she entered the hall, she saw Winston and Megan, and glanced again to see Lily and William standing on both sides of Mia like a perfect couple. If she saw someone she knew, she naturally had to say hello. Mia originally thought Olivia wouldn't come, but now that she looked back, Olivia was still a soft persimmon who loved to hang out and have fun. Perhaps she could be enticed. She immediately went forward and greeted her intimately. "Olivia, it's my honor that you can come here." Olivia curled the corners of her lips, not in a hurry to chat. Mia's eyes stopped at Serafina. Although hatred flashed, she still smiled leisurely. "You're really lucky. Your daughter is so pretty. Even Harrison, who has a cold personality, treats her like a treasure. He likes her so much, you don't have to worry anymore." It sounds like every sentence is correct, but thinking about it, every sentence has a hidden meaning. Serafina was about to retort, but Olivia spoke first. "An outstanding young man like Harrison likes my daughter. This is her blessing, and my daughter also likes him. It is his good fortune. That's why Mr. Lancaster said, this is truly a perfect match." Mia smiled brightly on the outside, but felt resentful inside. On his birthday, she saw very clearly that from the old to the young, the Lancaster family pampered Serafina like a princess. Lily stood beside her, her smile stiff. Just seeing Serafina made her feel uncomfortable. She and Megan had been shunned by other families. The Lancaster family definitely did not invite her. Not being able to go to places where the upper class socialized, losing many opportunities to make friends was fine, but wherever she went, people would gossip about Harrison and Serafina openly dating. Even Mr. Lancaster's barrier was easily passed. Who wouldn't be jealous, let alone Lily? When she left Macau, she heard that Harrison had saved Serafina, and she was so resentful that she wanted to die. But after returning, seeing that the two of them had not made any move, she thought that Serafina was being toyed with, and was very pleased. But she never expected that they would suddenly go public like this. Why did Harrison like Serafina? How could Serafina find such a top-notch man who was devoted to her, and could openly love her under everyone's admiring and blessing gazes? In her heart, she was actually dissatisfied with William. He had offended so many people, done so many things, and even wanted to drag the Ashford family into it. Lily felt uneasy and suffocated, and even her laughter was a little shaky. Serafina, good luck to you. Be a good person, don't cause trouble and break up. I don't have the time to cause a breakup. Serafina lazily scratched her chin. I'm busy preparing for the engagement ceremony next month. Engagement? Lily was surprised, jealous, and angry, her face turning red and white. Serafina didn't bother to pay attention and shrugged. Oh right, you probably didn't receive an invitation. Sorry, I forgot that you and your mother were banned from the upper class. I shouldn't have mentioned it and hurt you. Lily's cheeks crumpled at Serafina's words. Moreover, Olivia frowned clearly as soon as she entered the door, her expression not only showing disdain, but also deep hatred. That gaze immediately extinguished her thoughts of smiling and welcoming her. Now that Serafina was so nonchalantly humiliating her, Olivia even curled her lips. Lily gritted her teeth in hatred. She only felt more irritable and tired than ever, but she still tried to keep her smile. Mia coldly saw everything, smiling. Engaged? I just heard about it. You two haven't been together for long, why are you in such a hurry, isn't it? She turned her bad intentions to Serafina's belly, pretending to be cautious and caring. Serafina, you're still young, you should still think about your health. But Serafina immediately smiled faintly. I'm only engaged, I'll have to wait another year or two to get married. With one sentence easily smashed the doctor told me to get married accusation. Immediately after, she tilted her head curiously. Why haven't I seen Hannah lately? I heard she went to America to study. How long was she gone? 10 months. Studying abroad was something everyone understood, equivalent to giving birth. Mia was so angry that she almost ground her teeth. She sent her daughter abroad to cut off her longing. Her beloved daughter was misunderstood by others as going to study abroad, which made her heart ache. Serafina looked at her calmly. Wasn't this feeling of being branded with a bad reputation really unpleasant?